Hey guys, welcome back to the Time to Watch channel. If you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I would greatly appreciate that. So today we have another unboxing and review of this Tudor Black Bay GMT. So as usual, simple white outer sleeve. Let me just slide that out. And inside we will see the outer box, which has the Tudor branding on top here and black all around. Simple and sleek design. And inside we'll find this thin protective foam as we see in most other watch boxes. And underneath that we have the main box. So this one features the Tudor shield on top and it's black all around as well. Okay, let's take a look at the watch. So here we go. This is the Tudor Black Bay GMT, also known as the Pepsi because of the blue and red found on the bezel, which resembles the Pepsi logo. Okay, so let's see what else is in the box. Let me just remove the cushion first and set this aside. Let's hope it doesn't topple over. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so in this compartment here, we have the spare links. So I removed 4 spare links here from my 6 3/4 inch or 17 centimeter wrist. Put this back. And we also have the white tag. And they also gave me a polishing cloth. Okay. And here we have the international guarantee. So the model number for the Black Bay GMT is 79830RB, and purchase date for this piece was on the 14th of September 2022. So still a very new piece. Okay, we also have the user manual. I'm not going to bother flipping through that because no one wants to read that anyway, right? And we have the guarantee booklet as well. Let me just put the documentation back in this compartment here. Okay, and we will move the box to the side. And now let's take a closer look at the watch. Really nice color combination. This bezel is really beautiful. Later we will talk more about that, but just wanted to give you guys an overall look of the watch first. Let me remove it from the cushion. Okay, so as usual, we'll go over the dimensions of the watch first. Let me just make sure that it is in focus. So this Black Bay GMT has a 41mm case, a thickness of 14.5mm, a lug to lug of 50.2 millimeters, and the lug width here is 22 millimeters. The bracelet then tapers down to about 18 millimeters where it meets the clasp, and the clasp width actually goes back up to about 20 millimeters. Okay, the movement in this piece is the manufacturer caliber MT5652, which is COSC certified, so it will run within -4 to +6 seconds per day. It has a 70-hour power reserve and it beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. Okay, so let's talk about the case, because for this watch most people's concern is the case, whether it is too heavy or too thick. But in my opinion, as long as you have a 6.5-inch wrist or bigger, I think this watch would wear perfectly. It will definitely not feel too big. And if we notice here on the case, they have these chamfers at the top, as well as, more importantly, at the bottom here. I'm not sure if you're able to see it. Let me just wipe away some of the smudges. So at the bottom here, there is quite an obvious chamfer, which helps in visually reducing the thickness of the watch, as well as how it looks and feels on the wrist, which later we will take a look at that as well. So in terms of the case finishing, it is brushed on the top surfaces here and polished at the sides. And you'll notice that towards the lugs, it actually angles down, it curves down slightly, so that really helps in how comfortably it fits on the wrist. Next, let's take a look at the dial. So as we can see here, it is a matte black dial, and of course my camera will not be able to pick it up, but it has a little bit of a grainy texture to it. It's not entirely smooth, but it is a matte black dial, and the silver text on top, the branding, as well as the text at the bottom, GMT, chronometer, and officially certified, they are in a silver tone which contrasts really nicely with the black dial. Okay, the hour markers, as we can see here, are relatively smaller if you compare it to the Black Bay 58, or even on like Rolex Submariners and GMTs. Those have slightly bigger hour markers, whereas this one is smaller, which sort of gives it a more vintage look. As well as the bezel as well, having a matte texture. So the anodized aluminum bezel with the blue and red color tones here, it also gives the watch a very vintage look, and I think it all works very nicely together. And then if we look at the crystal, it is slightly domed, as most vintage watches are, so that really adds some nice aesthetics to it as well. And there is a date window at the 3 o'clock position without a Cyclops lens, but as we can see, we can all still tell the date very clearly. Okay, so very nice contrast, very clean look to the dial. And next, let's take a look at the crown. So it is a screw down crown, and I like these. So Tudor's crowns, these oversized crowns, are really easy to use, and the winding action of this movement is just so ridiculously smooth. Okay, you don't even hear any clicks whatsoever, but it's still very satisfying because of how buttery smooth it is. Okay, let me just wind it a few more times because I've not used this watch in a while. Okay, so how you would set the time on this watch is that when you pull it out once like this, you can see that the seconds hand is still moving. You have not hacked the movements yet, and this allows you to move the hour hand in 1 hour increments, like so. So you can move it forwards or backwards, and the movement is also very satisfying. There is quite a bit of tactile feedback to it, and as you can see, the date just jumped to the 21st, and that is how you set the date. There is no quick set function to the date. You will need to move the hour hand 2 full rounds every day for the date to jump forwards or backwards. So if I move it back past the 12 o'clock, the date should turn back as well, as you can see. So that's another added feature to this movement, is that the date can be adjusted both forwards and backwards. So let's just move it back to the time of 11 here. So how you would set the GMT hand is you would pull it out to the second position here, and this is how you would adjust the time, and the GMT hand would move accordingly. So what you would do is to first set the GMT or the reference time first. So for example, if I move it to 16, which indicates 4 p.m. So this would be my reference time of 4 p.m. And let's say I'm somewhere where the time is actually at 8 o'clock. Okay, what I would do is to pull out the hour hand and jump it forwards 4 hours, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I have the local time, which is at 8 p.m. on the 20th of September, and the GMT time or the reference time would indicate that it is at 4 p.m. So that is how you would set the GMT time on this piece. Okay, screw the crown back down. And the absence of the crown guards, I feel, also gives it a nicer, more symmetrical look, and also makes the crown easier to use. Okay, and I forgot to mention just now, the bezel here also has a coin edge finish, and it is bi-directional, so I can move it to the left or to the right. And the feedback on this piece, unlike the Rolex GMT Master 2, where it is more glidey, I would say, very smooth, this one has a very positive click to it, and it is 48 clicks all the way around, and it is bi-directional, as you can see here. And now let's take a look at the bracelet. So the bracelet is entirely brushed on the top surface here, as you can see, all the way around, and the sides here are actually polished with the fake rivets. Now many people actually are very bothered by the fake rivets, but honestly, when I put this watch on, I don't even notice that they're there. So yeah, to me, it's not really an issue. And the clasp here is also a very secure and substantial clasp with the clamshell. And one thing to take note of, one thing that I really like, is that the bead stops here are actually ceramic. So that will really help in terms of long-term durability. And in terms of using the clasp itself, the clicks are very satisfying and secure, as you can see here. Okay, and the clasp is also polished. It's polished at the sides and brushed at the top surface here. Now, one complaint that I do have, it's a very small complaint that I do have about this clasp, is that there is no on-the-fly adjustment. As you can see, that you can only anchor it onto these different anchoring points, but you cannot adjust it on the go because you will definitely need a tool for this. So one suggestion that I would have is, if Tudor were to incorporate the T-fit clasp onto this Black Bay GMT, that would make it perfect. Okay, next let's take a look at what it looks like on the wrist. Okay, so here it is on the wrist. And as you can see, it fits very nicely on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. From the side profile, you can see that, yes, it's definitely a tall watch, but it's not too tall, I would say. Like, it still feels comfortable. Probably also because I've sized the bracelet to wrap around my wrist more snugly so it doesn't flop around. So that's why I actually removed 4 links. Yeah, overall, just a very nice feel to it. I personally do like bigger watches, so this feels very comfortable for me. Definitely love the aesthetics of this watch. I think that it is a very beautiful watch. I think in terms of wrist time, this piece would probably get the most out of my entire collection, simply because of its functions and just how utilitarian it is. Okay, next I'll just turn off the light so that we can check out how well this Lume works. So now I'm just going to power up the Lume here with my flashlight, and we'll check out how brightly this Lume shines. Yep, that's very good Lume on the Black Bay GMT. Now, even though the hour markers are all relatively smaller, but the Lume is still very bright, and I'm pretty sure that they can last for quite some time as well. Okay, so overall, this is a really beautiful watch, and I think it's very value for money as well. Yep, so I will be adding some outdoor shots and close-up shots after this, so hopefully you guys enjoy that as well. And please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.